Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khair for inviting me to this beautiful center. Just really moved by the presence of all of you and just the aura of this place. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to bless this place with barakah and khair and continue to increase the knowledge of all the attendees and make this gathering with beneficial knowledge that we can take home and implement immediately, inshallah ta'ala. So one of the challenges of living in a modern life these days is that a lot of us are struggling to keep up with the pace of life. There's a lot happening around us. There's a lot of demand upon our time. We feel distracted, we feel overwhelmed. There's family pressure, work pressure, lifestyle pressure. And it seems that we're always running. And it seems that we're always distracted. And we can't just get some meaningful progress done in our lives. So the challenge for us is, well, how do we achieve success within this context? How do we move forward in life in a practical way that when it comes to our deathbed, we look back and say, Alhamdulillah, this was a life that was well lived for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, and we pray that Allah accepts this from us and that He enters us in His Jannah. How do we ensure that sort of lifestyle within this context of hyper connectivity, hyper distraction, hyper overwhelming of those that are around us? Whenever people look for success, they look for role models. They look for ways to how to become successful. We look for examples of people who are teachers, mentors. We look for successful role models in our life. We look for habits of routines of successful people. But as we all know, the verse of the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. That indeed in the messenger of Allah is a beautiful example. That for those of you who want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and want to seek the hereafter. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that if you want to achieve success, if you want to go far in life, you have to follow the model of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The challenge is, how do we translate his life to a day-to-day modern context? How do we translate his habits and routines in a world that is hyper-connected, in a world that there's a lot of things happening? How do we do that? And that's, inshallah ta'ala, will be the focus of this talk. I'll first start off by describing a typical day in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What we call the daily routine of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a typical Medina day. Once I finish describing it, I want us to translate that habit, those habits and routines, to our modern day lives and say, well, how can we practically implement his daily routine in our day-to-day life? Whether you are a busy professional, whether you are a businessman, whether you are a student, whether you are a working mother, whether you are a stay-at-home mom, whatever capacity you are, how to translate the daily routine of Rasulullah ﷺ into our modern day life. That's inshallah the focus of this talk. So let's first of all, I want us to go back in time and just, as if, imagine you zooming into the house of Rasulullah ﷺ in Medina. And we would see him just before Fajr. He would normally take a nap after his tahajjud, and just before Fajr he would take a nap. And you hear the beautiful adhan of Bilal radiallahu anhu calling through the city of Medina. And Rasulullah ﷺ opening his eyes, and the first thing he does is to go search for his siwak, is to love his siwak. And then he makes a dua for waking up. Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'dama amatana wa ilayhi nushur, other dua that you all know. He then gets up, and if he needs wudu, he'll make wudu, and he'll pray the sunnah fajr prayer, like 2 rak'ah sunnah fajr prayer in his home. He would then wake up his wife if she's asleep and converse with her, and he would wait for the time for the adhan. Bilal anhu would come and say, As-salah ya Rasulullah, prayer, O Messenger of Allah. Rasulullah would get up, leave his house, make the dua for leaving the house, enter the masjid, make the dua for entering the masjid. The Sahaba would be stand up, lined up, and then he would lead them in the beautiful, slow, beautiful Fajr prayer. After Fajr prayer, he would spend in doing the adhkar after Fajr prayer, the adhkar al-sabah, the morning remembrances, and then he would turn and face the Sahaba. He would then ask them if any of them saw a dream, or he would probably have to interpret a dream that he had, or sometimes gives them a very strong maw'idah, a reminder for them, or sometimes just sits and listens and converses with them. He will stay in the musalla till sunrise. At sunrise, he will get up, he will enter his home, he will he will best pass around to his whole family and ask, inquire about them, كيف حالك أهل البيت, how are you people of the home? And then he will say, هل عندكم شيء, do you have anything to eat? He's looking for his breakfast, do you have anything to eat? Sometimes, Ya Rasulullah, ma عندنا شيء. O Messenger of Allah, there's nothing in our home. So there's an inni idan sign, then I'm fasting. And then he would go back into the masjid, he would pray Tahiyyat Masjid, and then he would sit and start his, what we call, official day. That's when the Sahaba knew to come and ask him questions, that's when the delegation used to come, that's kind of his official start of the day. Now I want to pause here. So far, his routine, does it look complicated? Is it hard? You wake up, make adhkar, pray Fajr Sunnah, Fajr prayer, pray Fajr prayer, do adhkar, stay till sunrise, go say, seek out your family, see how well they're doing, have breakfast if there's breakfast, otherwise you're fasting, and then go towards your workplace and pray to Sunnah Rak'ah and start the day. It's not that complicated. In fact, it's very, very easy. But in today's life, what happens when you first wake up in the morning? The first thing we do, before saying Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'da ma tadil nushur, what's the first thing we do? We check our phones, right? First thing we do, who sent me messages, who sent me emails, who sent me what, and we keep on. What we don't realize, even though it might seem like a simple thing, innocent thing, nothing happens, just checking my phone, I'm just reading my messages. What you're doing when you do that is you are immediately starting to react to the world around you. You're not being in control of your morning. You're immediately being at the mercy of whatever messages you send. Maybe your boss sent you a message. Maybe some family member sent you a message. Maybe something that would have disturbed you, completely destroys your morning. Or that weird news that you hear like, Astaghfirullah, why did I get this message? Early in the morning, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, what happened here? This completely destroys you, completely takes your focus away from the akhirah, from prayer and salah and tahajjud and dhikr, immediately to the dunya. And you start your day started by that thought. And that's why, subhanAllah, we hear a lot of hadith that talks about Man asbaha wa hamhu dunya. Whoever wakes up and his ham is dunya. Ja'ala Allah faqrahu bayna aynayh. Allah will make poverty between his eyes. وَشَتَّتَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ أَمْرًا. And Allah will disperse His matters among him. You become stressed. You wake up, the first thing you do is see the dunya and see the reaction around you, and you become immediately stressed. Now we've always understood this hadith from perspective of thinking of dunya and money, wealth, but actually just by a simple act, just checking your phone first thing in the morning can destroy that. And nowadays, what they say, if you look at self-help experts, productivity experts, they say do not check your phone first thing in the morning. Starting your day with checking your phone or starting your day with something negative or starting with some stress will immediately throw you off course, will immediately make you have a tough and unproductive day. Starting your day with a positive mindset, start with dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with saying shukr, alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana, being very focused. Just imagine 2 mornings. The first morning you get up, you make dhikr, you do you pray the Fajr prayer, you stay till sunrise, you read Quran, you work hard, you get some work done, you have breakfast, spend time with the family, Versus the morning, you wake up, check your phone, you're stressed out, you're late, you feel like, oh my God, I have to rush, go through rush hour traffic, get to work late, your boss is upset with you. It's a totally different morning. Which morning did you prefer? Which morning will get you starting off on the right note? So just following the sunnah of Rasulullah in his morning routine, just his morning routine, let's not talk about the rest of the day, just his morning routine will make a huge impact on your performance and productivity at work, on how focused and present you are with your family, and just your general well-being. Seriously, it's simple advice. The Prophet's morning routine is not hard. Make it a habit. Make it a habit. I'm going to every day wake up in the morning, I'm going to follow his exact recipe that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam followed. Let's continue his day. So after sunrise, what he normally does, he sits in his majlis. The Sahaba, as I said, they come to him, they learn from him. Sometimes delegations come. And he sits in that majlis until about, let's say, duha time. And then he would get up and either would enter into his family, enter into his home quarters. And again, sometimes there's food that he'll eat, sometimes there's no food, he will not eat. Even if he was fasting, he'll break his fast sometimes. And he would then, after duha, go and visit his daughter Fatima, and visit his grandchildren, Hassan and Hussein, and or visit someone who's sick, or visit someone who has errands, or would go for janazah, something to do with the Medina early morning. This was his time when he walks into the markets of Medina, and the Sahaba would see him walking the streets of Medina. Now, it's interesting enough that, think about it, he is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You would think that people should come to him, but he is going to see his daughter. He is going to see his children, grandchildren. He is going to see his companions. He is going to see his people. He's going out of his way. He's not saying, I'm the leader, I'll say to you guys, come and see me because I'm the leader, I'm the prophet. He is going to see. That's a leadership lesson. If you are head of a community, or head of a masjid, or head of a, you should be the person who goes and visits and sees the family, sees the community. You should be the person who's on the run. You should be the servant of that community. That's how Rasulullah was in his leadership. He was not the man who sits and says, I'm the prophet, you guys come talk to me. He was the one who goes out and to be with among his community. He would go about in his errands, and sometimes in his errands he would be walking Medina, and then a young little servant girl would come, hold his hand, and take him around the city of Medina, and then bring him back. Now just imagine, he's Rasulullah, he's like the most busiest man on earth. He's got a father, grandfather, mufti, leader, he's got other things in his mind, he's the last messenger, he's supposed to save humanity. And a little young girl comes and tells him, just 5 minutes, I'll show you something, and he goes with her. And he's not stressed. He's not saying, sorry, I'm busy, no time, sorry. Have you ever noticed that not a single person, none of his family members, none of his wives, none of his children, none of his companions ever said, Ya Rasulullah, you didn't give us enough time? Think about that. How many of us, our wives complain? Our children complain. Baba, you're not spending time with me. Our families, our relatives complain. You're not spending enough time with me. How come that not a single person complained that, Ya Rasulullah, you do not spend enough time with me? And to be honest with you, the answer to that is that he was fully present with every single person he was with. When he was with his family, he was fully present with his family. When he was with his companions, he was fully present with his companions. When he was with his Rabb, he was fully present with his Rabb. When he was visiting, he was fully present. He was not distracted. He's not talking to you and thinking about work. He's not at home and stressed about family. Or at work, stressed about family. He's fully present. He's there with you the whole time. And that's why people spend time with him and realize that he's giving quality time. A lot of times our family and children and friends are not complaining that we don't spend enough time with them. They're complaining we're not spending quality time with them. We're just not there. We're so distracted. We're talking to them with our phones. Yeah, I'm listening. Yep, yeah, go on, I'm talking to you. Yeah, go on. Our mind is completely somewhere else. And that by itself shows you that we're not giving that person their full due right. You know, in the work-life balance article that Brother Hassan mentioned, we mentioned this idea that give each one their due right. And giving someone their due right is being fully present, not being distracted. There was once a story where Rasulullah was spending time with Aisha anha, and his neighbor came up to him and said, Ya Rasulullah, come over I have made this very nice soup for you. And the Prophet used to love this soup. He said, come, I made this special soup for you. Rasulullah asked, is she invited? Meaning Aisha. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm only inviting you. He said, then I'm not coming. You know, come over. Second time, Ya Rasulullah, as I made this very special soup for you. He said, is she invited? Aisha? He said, no, she's not invited, Rasulullah, only you. He said, I'm not coming. Third time, Ya Rasulullah, I made a special soup for you, please come over. He said, is she invited? He said, yes, she is invited. Then I'm coming over. When he was in his family, he was fully with his family. And that's why the Sahaba sometimes used to each Sahabi thought that, my God, the Prophet must love me the most. I'm the most beloved person to the Prophet, because he really spent that quality of time. And that's the nature of someone like him. So he would be, like I said, he would be in Medina in those early hours and go on his visits, fulfill his errands. He'll sometimes pray duha in his home, sometimes pray duha at somebody else's home, and sometimes he'll come, and sometimes in the masjid he'll pray duha prayers, 2 rak'ahs, 4 rak'ahs, 6 rak'ahs, 8 rak'ahs, 9, 10, depending how Allah opens for him. And then he'll come and take a nap just before the Dhuhr prayer. Now, we live in a world today that taking a nap is like a taboo. If someone takes a nap, you must be lazy, man. Naps are for children and for not for grown-up men. Work, your machine, 8 to 5 every day. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took time to nap. Are we better than him? Do we think that we have a better lifestyle than his lifestyle? He took time to nap. And that time to nap helped him, rejuvenate him. And again, today's study after study, study after study. NASA did a study on astronauts. Those who nap for 20 minutes improve their alertness by 5 hours. Another study on truck drivers, those who drive big trucks between states, they did those who nap for 90 minutes improve their alertness by 10 hours. You want to become healthy? You want to be present with your family? Instead of coming home 5 o'clock so tired because you haven't napped the whole day, if you just take a 20-minute nap before Dhuhr or after Dhuhr, when you go home to your family at work, you feel great. You still have some energy in you. Instead of going home so tired, and the wife starts talking to you and the kids and shut up, man, I just want to sleep. I'm too tired. Because you haven't napped. Rasulullah took time to nap. And again, these are basic things, fitrah things. And actually studies have shown that we naturally feel intense periods of sleep between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. naturally. It's not like our bodies are programmed to feel intense periods of sleep in the afternoon and at night, after midnight. That's natural. That's how Allah created us. So you're not going against your fitrah or taking a nap. That's why sometimes I used to work in a corporate environment. I used to hide in my car and nap. I would do anything to nap. I would find a car, find some spot, and I just nap for 20 minutes, and I'll get up feeling fresh, and I'll go to work, and my boss says, man, you look alert. I'm like, alhamdulillah. I won't tell you my secret. Quick nap, 20-minute naps. Again, from the habits of Rasulullah. High performance and productivity is not rocket science. You don't have to be like a crazy athlete or some scientific experiment using different pills. It's very easy. It's just going back to the fitrah and going back to the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you take a nap until Dhuhr prayer. And then you'll pray Dhuhr prayer. And sometimes after Dhuhr, something big happens and big news happened in Medina. He would get up and make a khutbah after Medina. And notice why he never used to give a speech after a khatira or khutbah or some reminder after Maghrib or after Asr or after Isha. He would do it after Fajr and after Dhuhr. So I guess we're not doing the full sunnah right now. We got Isha. He would never do that. Know why? Because that's when people are tired. After Isha, everyone's sleepy. After Maghrib, people are looking to go to eat. After Asr, everyone's rushing home. It's rush hour traffic. Everyone's going to go home. But he would give the reminders of khutbah after Dhuhr or after Fajr, because that's when you're most alert. After Fajr, you woke up from your sleep, that's most alert. And after Dhuhr, when you are, after again, with your nap, you're most alert. So even he was, look how his genius, he was not giving speech when people are tired. He always used to see his community, like, not a good time now. He would not give the khatira. And he would give a khatira, or he would remind them to talk when they're alert, when they're at the peak height of performance. Again, it's a leadership technique. You want to hold a meeting in your company? Instead of holding that meeting at a time when everyone's tired, 5 o'clock, everyone's tired, hold the meeting at a time when people are alert, people are awake, people are ready to process what you're going to say, share with them. So think about the timing of how you relate with people, inshallah. So after Dhuhr, again, if there's a khutbah, if there's a khutbah. If not, he would spend time with his companions, or he would go on his errands, or sometimes you would see him sitting alone in one of the gardens of Medina. Now imagine Rasulullah, busy man, he has so much to do, but he would go and sit alone in the cities of Medina, in the gardens of the city of Medina. Why? Sometimes being alone is healthy. We live in a world where we can't sit alone. When was the last time you were alone? Meaning phones off, no one can access you, and you're truly alone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When was the last time you felt that? A lot of people, if you ever notice people when they stand in line and they're alone, what they do? First thing, reach out to their phone. If their phone's off, you feel the stress, they're agitated, something like they'll distract themselves, something's missing, I want to do something. So they feel like agitated. They want to be somewhere. They gotta be something. They have to listen to music. They have to do something. They just can't be alone. Rasulullah sometimes would sit alone at a well, just being alone, and that's healthy. Sometimes when you live in that's why having an open office environment is not the most productive. Again, studies now show open office environment destroys productivity, because every time I'm trying to work, someone starts, hey, whoa, what's going on? Can you do this? Everyone starts distracted every now and then. But having some time alone can be very helpful for your focus and very helpful for your productivity. Just spending some time alone. So seeing how to build that into I knew a sister who used to have 4 kids. And she would say, you know what, she'd set up a tent inside her house. And every time she needs some me time, she'll go inside the tent and say, Mommy's time out. And she'd put a sign, the kids will know not to go inside the tent when Mommy's time out. She built that habit of just having some time alone. So that's between Dhuhr and Asr. After Asr, he would, of course, lead the prayers for Asr. Again, he would normally rush Asr prayer. You know why? Because the Asr prayer at that time is exactly like Kuala Lumpur today. It's rush hour traffic. Why? Because in Medina, remember, there were no street lights. When the sun goes down, you can't see anything. So the people, the companions, used to rush after Asr prayer because they have to close down their shops, close down their fields. So they actually have to rush quickly for Maghrib, because once Maghrib comes, they can't see anything. They have to prepare the food, they have to get get some palm. So it was actually rush hour traffic, just like today. Everyone's rushing home. Same thing, hasn't changed since 1400 years ago to today. After Asr is rush hour traffic. So the Sahabis, again, so he would never give a khutbah after Asr. He would let them go quickly and finish off their work before Asr, before Maghrib prayer. After Asr, normally, that's when the time when he would spend quality time with his family. In fact, some narrations say that all his family members, all his wives and children will meet at his home, at one of his wife's home, and he will sit with them. And it's almost like a mini halaqah, almost. They would ask questions, they would debate, they would sort of sit down. And again, when was the last time have we spent that quality Deen education time with our family and talked about Deen, asked questions, see what challenges they're facing. So that's when he used to do after Asr. He spend that quality time, educational time with his family. He would then pray Maghrib, and again Maghrib will be also very light and quick, it will not be long. Why? Everyone's hungry. That's when they have their dinner. And if he is fasting, that's when he breaks his fast. So immediately after Maghrib, he'll go and have his dinner in one of his homes. Something we notice here very interesting about the dinner time. I know in Kuala Lumpur we have very late dinners. It actually impacts your performance. You know why? When you have late dinner, it impacts your metabolism, and you find it harder to sleep at night. And it actually delays your sleep. If you delay your sleep, you wake up tired. So one way to ensure that you don't sleep, that you wake up early, and one way to ensure that you find it easier to sleep is to have early dinner. Give yourself enough time. So ideally after Maghrib, have the last meal, or if you're hungry after Isha, have something very light, fruits or yogurt, something very light. But you eat early after Maghrib. That's the Sunnah of Rasulullah. And again, that's linked to performance, because if you eat late dinner, it impacts your sleep. If you impact your sleep, what happens? You wake up tired. You wake up tired, what happens? You have a terrible day the next day. You find it so hard to focus. I'm so tired, man. Why? Because you had late dinner. Even things like caffeine, coffee, tea. I'm seeing some tea going around right now. Coffee, tea. Coffee, tea, right? That impacts your sleep. It impacts your sleep. Now again, you might think, well, I've been doing this for 30, 40 years and alhamdulillah, I'm still sleeping fine. But imagine what it could be if you avoid having caffeine at night and avoid having something that keeps you up at night. So he would have his dinner until Isha time. Isha time, he'll pray Isha. Sometimes he would delay Isha prayers depending on the day, depends on Sahaba how early they are. And after Isha, again, no speech, no khutbah, no khatira, he would go to sleep. Sometimes he spend some quality time with his family, sometimes spend quality time with his companions, but normally after Isha, he would go to sleep. Not watch TV, not have long night conversations. He would go to sleep early after Isha. He would sleep from after Isha until the Islamic midnight. The Islamic midnight is you take sunset, you take sunrise, you divide by half, that's the Islamic midnight. So it depends, it changes depending on Medina, 11:30, sometimes 12:30, depending on what time is Maghrib, what time is Fajr. He would sleep, and so he'll sleep from Isha until Islamic midnight, so about 4.5 hours roughly. He would get up and he would pray his tahajjud, he would start his tahajjud. This is his me time. This is now, after the whole day of hard work, dealing with companions, his family, his children, his grandchildren, now's the time when he is alone with his Rabb. This is the time he used to look forward to. Because that's the time he started building his energy. A lot of time when we misunderstand, people say, Muhammad, we should sleep 8 hours a day. That's what science says, we should sleep 8 hours a day. But here's Rasulullah sleeping a few hours every night. How do you reconcile that? How do you still, he reconcile? Number one, he used to nap in the day. That used to help him stay up at night. Number two, he knew that if he did not wake up for that night, he will not have the energy in the day. That waking up middle of the night to pray, that gives him the energy to be who he is in the day. That also gave him the barakah of achieving what he achieved in his lifetime. We think that, wake up in the middle of the night and pray, that means I'm going to feel tired, right? Our logical mind plays, right? I'll feel tired in the day, and then what will I do? Then my boss might fire me, and we make all these excuses. I'll forget tahajjud, too much, tahajjud is too hard. But actually waking up for tahajjud is actually a way for you to be energetic, to build a spiritual energy, to build a capacity, because you're connecting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and bringing the barakah into your life. Next day you feel that energy comes to you, you don't know where it came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you got up for his sake. So something is waking up in the middle of the night and praying tahajjud, that actually boosts productivity, boosts performance. But we see it different because we unfortunately have a misunderstanding what waking up for tahajjud means. He would get up, he would pray his tahajjud, and then after that, sometimes he would go towards the end of his life to go to al-Baqi'. And he would, make dua al-Baqi'. Now think of the loyalty he had for his companions. Imagine, his companions who passed away. He would still go out and make dua for them till his last days. That's leadership. Leadership is when you really care about those whom you lead. You care so much that even after they die, you still go and visit them. You still go make dua for them. That's leadership. That showed you how much he cared for those who he followed him and those who sacrificed their lives for his cause. So he would get up and he would make dua for them. And sometimes that's when the famous hadith that happened when he said one day he came back from Baqi' and he was crying. He said, I miss my brothers. He says, what, aren't we your brothers? No, you're my friends. My brothers, those who come after me and and believe in me even though they didn't see me. That is us, inshallah ta'ala. So imagine how much he cared for his followers and how much he cared for those who were around him. So he would sometimes, like I said, after midnight, he would pray tahajjud and then he would go for baqiyah and then he would come back and take a nap before, at the sahar time, before Fajr prayer. Nap would last like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours maximum. So his total sleep time at night is probably 5-6 hours total. Now, one thing to be very clear about is that Rasulullah's routine was not fixed. It was not like a program, machine, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. It was very fluid. Aisha used to say that sometimes he would be so, he would pray so much, I felt he never sleeps. And sometimes he would sleep that I felt he never woke up for prayer. It was very fluid. It was that showed you a complete lifestyle. It's not about very strict, regimental type of lifestyle. It was very fluid. And that's actually the highest form of productivity. You know why? If you can be fluid and still achieve so much in your day, that is being productive. We think being productive is about being busy, about knowing my schedule, 9 to 5, know exactly. But being productive is saying that every minute of my time, my waking time, I'm using it in the best possible way. If something happens, khair inshallah, no problem, and you'll see what happens. And not be so stressed. A lot of times we get stressed, people are very stressed. Stressed in the traffic, stressed at home. Why are we stressed? Because we have expectations. I have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I only got A, B, C done. You become stressed. What would happen with all those other things? But when you live a lifestyle where it's saying, I'll try my best. I'll wake up, I'll plan, I'll do my best. But subhanAllah, if something doesn't happen by Allah's permission, I'm not stressed. Khair inshallah, fiha khair, qaddar ma sha fa'al. And you're not stressed at all. And that's one of the key qualities of Rasulullah's times, that his routine was that he was not stressed. He wasn't someone who's like overtaken by stress, like, oh, I'm busy, I can't, I'm running. A lot of us stressed, we're always stressed. Stress in traffic, stress at home, stress in the airport. But when you live a lifestyle of following the Sunnah of Rasulullah, you're not stressed. You're going and knowing that, subhanAllah, I'm trying my best. I'm not saying you should just relax and hope things work out for you. You plan, you take action, you move. But then if something doesn't happen, something outside your control, say alhamdulillah, qaddar Allah wa sha fa'al, and just continue your day. You're not being stressed at all. So this was a 24-hour snapshot of the habit of a routine of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now when you look at it, you think, subhanAllah, it wasn't that hard. It's not impossible. It's not something that was rocket science. It's not something none of us can follow. But this routine, which seems so simple, so basic, so easy, was actually the routine that made him achieve what he achieved in 23 years, what no man could achieve in 100 years. This routine is what made him the most successful man that ever lived. This routine is what made him the most influential man that ever lived. This routine is the routine that helped him achieve what we now call Islam and see him follow him, and for 1400 years we still follow him. This habit and routine. Now, the question is, how does our routine match up to his routine? How can we ensure that we can match our routine to his routine? And before I go into that, I just want to just a few comments on his routine. Number one, that he spent time to invest in himself, meaning that he would spend time in tahajjud, that's for himself. He spent time being alone. He spent time when he was to take a nap. He spent time to sleep. He spent time to eat. He spent time to invest in himself, to build his capacity, spiritual, physical, and social. He was not saying, I'm the prophet, things will work out for me. He spent time to build his own capacity. People who are high performers, especially people involved in da'wah and doing a lot of hard work, sometimes they forget themselves or they forget their families. But he spent time with his family. He spent time with himself. He spent time with his Rabb. He spent time with his, to sleep, to take a nap. He spent time to build his capacity, to ensure that he's not tired out, he's not burnt out. Some people, somebody involved in the da'wah, especially involved in da'wah over the heart, they work so hard they forget themselves. And then they burn out after 2 or 3 months. They say, oh, it's too much, I can't do this. But when you live a balanced lifestyle, just like the lifestyle of Rasulullah, you won't burn out as easily. Number 2 is that, like I said, he was fully present with his home and home, friends with his companions and companions, with his Rabb with his Rabb. He was fully present. And that's a key quality that, again, I said, we're really missing this because we find ourselves so distracted because we're not fully present. And it's simple, and we'll talk about techniques inshallah in a minute. Thirdly, is structure. That he knew salat time was salat time. Family time was family time. He had a time for his family, a time for himself, a time. He had a structured routine. It was not haphazard. And if something did come up, like I said, he was fluid about it. He was not overwhelmed by it. And finally, he did not lead a stressed life. So sometimes we have this being productive, we think, oh wow, being productive must be someone who's really stressed and busy and getting things done. But actually being productive is somebody who achieves so much with the barakah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yet you feel that subhanAllah is not, you don't feel stressed at all. You think, man, this guy looks so relaxed and chilled, even though he's achieved so much in his life. So let's start thinking about our own routines. Let's start, how do we now implement his routine into our daily life? Let's sort of make that happen, inshallah. So here are some practical tips. Like I said, first of all, the early morning hours. Protect that first 2-3 hours. And make sure that those first 2-3 hours are, even if step by step, like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If I were you, I'd get a siwak tonight. If you're able to pass by, wake up in the morning, follow his exactly. So wake up, use a siwak, make the dhikr, make dua, make the wudu, pray the sunnah prayer, come to the masjid, pray fajr prayer, do the ithkar, exactly as Rasulullah taught us. Pray the stay till sunrise, recite Quran, make dua, go home, spend time with your family. If you want to, you can have breakfast. If you want to fast, you can fast. And then pray to sunnah rak'ah prayer before going to work, or when you get to work. As much as possible. That when you begin your day, knowing that I started my day like the day of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you immediately start on a positive. That's a positive note. You know you're starting off on a really powerful note. You're like, this is a good start to my day. I've started my day exactly how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam started his day. Just notice the barakah that comes in your life. Notice just the barakah. What is barakah? Barakah, Allah increases you. Allah benefits, gives you benefit. You achieve so, He takes care of your worries. When Allah removes barakah, that's when you feel stressed. When Allah removes barakah, that's when things happen. Unexpected expenses come up. Your boss shouts at you randomly. You're like, what's going on? That's the barakah being removed. But barakah is being calm, serene. Allah's put in barakah. He's making things easy for you. That project you thought will take you 3 months, you get done so quickly. That thing that you thought will never happen, Allah makes it easy for you. That's how you tap into that barakah. By following the man with the most barakah, which is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And start your day like he started his day. That's the first step. The second step is to build some of his habits. For example, he used to pray duha prayer. So in the mid-morning or 10 o'clock, right, at work or even at home, he's staying at home, mid-morning or 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock before Dhuhr, make sure you have time for duha prayer. And build that into as a habit. Again, seeking the barakah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes use that time to pray istikhara. If you have any decisions to make, pray istikhara on that time. It's a great time. Again, you're asking Allah for barakah in your decisions. Again, sometimes you think being productive is like making quick decisions. Actually, sometimes slowing down to pray istikhara prayer and seek mashura, you get the right answer instead of wasting your time and wasting your energy, wasting your focus, following a decision that 2 years later say, hawla la quwwata illa billah, why did I go there? I wish I changed my mind. If you just spend 10 minutes praying istikhara, calling a few people, asking for mashura, and seeking the barakah in your decisions, you'll make a better decision, and that will save you a lot of time, a lot of stress, a lot of headache, than if you say, I'm a productive man, I'll just make quick decisions. I don't need istikhara, I can do it myself. And then 6 months later, say, inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. I wasted my time on this project, wasted my time on this issue, I wish I didn't get involved in this thing. So take time out duha prayer to follow his sunnah, follow his prepared duha prayer, and if you can't, combine with istikhara prayer for any decisions you have to make that day. Then the nap time, follow his nap time, right? Before Dhuhr, after Dhuhr if you can't, 20 minutes. You don't have to fall asleep. You don't have to snore at work. Just find a small place, quiet place, in the musalla, in the car. I told you, I was literally going inside my car, but make sure you open your windows. Otherwise you suffocate. I tried once and forgot to open the windows, I almost died. So open the windows and just slide sleep inside the car. Just take a nap, 20 minutes nap. Again, your niyyah, always saying, I'm seeking the barakah of following the sunnah and the habits of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's always your niyyah. You're always conscious that I'm doing this not because science tells me I should nap, not because nap is really good for you. I'm doing this because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did this. And you do that, and that's when you're seeking the barakah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah, I'm taking this nap, even though maybe you're not tired. Maybe though you had coffee, you're not tired. I'll still close my eyes for 15 minutes, sleep on my right hand side and follow the sunnah because I know that Rasulullah did this. And see the barakah in your life. Sometimes what happens is, and this is what studies have shown now, that if you delay some decisions or delay getting some work, you get better ideas after a nap. You get more creative ideas. So if you have a big project work and you want more creative ideas, work on that project, but then take a break and go take a nap and come back after the nap. I swear to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I've felt this so many times. I'll be working on something and I'll be stuck and I have no idea what else to do. I'll take a break, go nap, come back and subhanallah, boom, an idea comes to you. Alhamdulillah, solved it. And that's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because you followed the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and you're seeking the barakah into your life. So take a nap in your day. Even if it's just closing your eyes, putting your head on the desk, that's fine. Seek the nap in your day. Try your best is to plan your life around salah. Meaning that a lot of us, we sometimes squeeze salah somewhere between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock and try to find some. Plan your life. So start your calendar, if you use a calendar, by saying, when is salah time? Block those times out. Now I can put my other meetings, my calls, what I have to do. Plan your life around salah. That's how Rasulullah planned his life. He was planning his life around the salah time. He would meet somebody before prayer or after prayer. He'd do something after salah, before salah, around salah time. Plan your life around salah time. And then, as we mentioned earlier, try to have early dinner. Just like Rasulullah. Again, not about going against culture, maybe everyone's eating late. You're saying, I want to eat early because Rasulullah used to he'd have his dinner early after Maghrib. Try to eat early. You see the benefit of just eating early dinner. And then trying to sleep as early as possible after Isha. As early as possible after Isha, so that you can wake up for tahajjud, you can wake up for fajr and start your day again. And of course, you can get up for tahajjud as well and see that tahajjud prayer, not like, oh my goodness, shaitan will come to you. I swear, he will come to you and say, man, tomorrow you have a big day, man. Tomorrow you have a big project. You know, if you wake up for tahajjud, tomorrow by 10 o'clock you'll be so tired. Shaitan will come to you and say that because he does not want you to wake up for tahajjud. But you get up and you know that A, I'm following in the footsteps of Rasulullah, and B, that if I wake up for tahajjud, I know by the barakah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He will increase me and I'll achieve so much success compared if I don't wake up for tahajjud. You have that yaqeen in your heart. You're not so like, I'll try it out and see what happens. No, you have yaqeen in your heart for that, inshallah ta'ala. So these are some practical ways for us to be able to overcome the world we live in today, where we feel distracted, we feel overwhelmed, we feel stressed out. By following his example, the example of Rasulullah, we're setting ourselves up for success. But we just have to make sure that he's truly our role model and not try to be outsmarted, think we're smart enough, we can do things ourselves, or think, oh, logically this doesn't make sense. Follow his example, follow his sunnah, and you will see the barakah, guaranteed. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Guaranteed, you'll see the barakah. And barakah is what is productivity. Barakah is productivity. That's the Islamic definition of productivity, is barakah. When Allah blesses you with more for the little you have, that's productivity. That means you achieve so much in so little time. That is productivity. And what else do we want from life than to live a healthy, meaningful, productive lifestyle for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله العظيم. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله. جزاkallah khair to Mohammed Faris for that very enlightening speech. Now we open to the floor for some Q&A. For those in the ladies section that aren't able to pass a written note, I'm going to give out my phone number for the purpose of this event. It is 017 712 8877. I repeat, 017 712 8877. You may WhatsApp or SMS me the questions that you have. While the ladies are looking into that, perhaps any of the brothers have something to start off with. Or maybe I'll get the ball rolling. I read somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, in your book, that you have a hypothesis regarding making wudu and encouraging your team to make wudu before they attend any meeting in your organization.
Yep.
Could you please elaborate on that?
Sure. So one of the habits we use with Productive Muslim as a team is that we say to everyone, make wudu before coming to a meeting. And the reason for this is that sometimes when we meet as a team, the egos play out. Everyone's trying to outsmart each other, everyone's trying to, especially something bad happens, they're trying to blame each other. So wudu comes and helps to purify you. And actually it's part of the sunnah of Rasulullah is to be in a constant state of wudu, a constant state of purity. And that helps to purify your intentions, it helps to purify the hearts, it helps to ensure that inshallah ta'ala that as a team when you meet together for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to come up with something productive and meaningful for the ummah, you're not, there bringing your ego. And shaitan will not come and whisper into your ears, oh, he said that, oh, she said this, inna lillah, oh, see what he said? Shaitan will come and whisper in your heart. So you try to avoid that, have wudu to dampen the effect of shaitan, and have wudu to bring that barakah into that team meeting. So this is something, a habit that we started as a team of Productive Muslim, alhamdulillah, has been very beneficial. You can see the effect it is. Everyone on the team come with wudu, they're ready to discuss some matter of importance, everyone purify their mind, purify their heart. It's a very powerful ritual that I hope companies will start adopting. Encouraging your employees, encouraging your staff, encouraging your students, encouraging your teachers. Make wudu before we meet for something, make wudu before a big project starts, just for the sake of purity, and ensuring that you're trying to purify yourself and thinking from that perspective, inshallah.
Okay, we have the first question that's in. Assalamu alaikum. When is the best time of tahajjud? Is it 3 a.m., 4 a.m., based on the sunnah, please?
Sure. So again, one of the beautiful things about Rasulullah is that he showed us examples of praying at different times. And that's again a way for us, for him to make things easy for us. So sometimes we'd pray after Isha, sometimes we'd get up for tahajjud for middle of the night, midnight, and pray until before dawn. Sometimes we would sleep until before the sahar time and get up and pray. Sometimes we stay up the whole night to pray. So he showed us different examples. And so whichever we want to follow, inshallah ta'ala, is still part of the sunnah. So let's not make things too difficult for ourselves. Start with what's easiest for you. If, for example, for you the easiest thing is just to pray two rak'ah after Isha, and after the witr of sunnah of Isha, and pray two rak'ah tahajjud and 3 rak'ah witr, and you're done, alhamdulillah, do that. Start with that. Make it easy. Sometimes we make things so hard for ourselves. I have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I know it's the best time because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends to the heavenly skies, and it's a great time for us, du'a is answered. But then when you make it so hard, when you don't wake up, I can't do tahajjud, it's too hard. I can't do qiyam al-layl, it's too hard. So make it easy. Rasulullah made things easy. He used to pray at different times of the night. So whatever time that is easiest for you, get up. And inshallah you work your way up. One day inshallah ta'ala we wake up at 3 in the morning and make it easy. But for now, get into the habit of qiyam al-layl inshallah ta'ala.
Gonna just have two advertisements here. Firstly, my phone number again, in case somebody didn't catch it. 017 712 8877. The second advertisement is Piecemeal, an organization that brings cultural and intellectual perspective to youth, has organized a little book counter over there. And one of the books that is on sale tonight is Mohammed Faris' book, And he has graciously decided to do a small signing ceremony for those of you who would like that. So please, after the event, go over to the counter there. There are also some other books that are based on Imam Haddad's teachings and others. And all the proceeds or profits from the sales of these books go to fund the activities of Peace Meeting. So please support it with that niyyah as well.
I wonder, most of us are disturbed by the telephone. We always see our WhatsApp off and on. So when do you, how many hours and when do you look at your phone?
Good question. So the studies are done by University of California where on average we check our phones, guess how much? Per day, on average. How many times do you check your phone per day? Sorry? 200. On average, today the modern adult person checks their phone between 150 times to 200 times a day. Now just think about that. Divide 200 by the number of minutes in a day. That's probably every 5 minutes. Now think what that does to you. Every 5 minutes, check my phone. Check your phone. Check your phone. Check. What does that do to you? Completely destroys your focus. Completely destroys your presence. Your children are not spending time with you because you're checking your phone. Your wife and husband are not spending time with each other because you're checking your phone. Your work is not getting most out of it because you're checking your phone too often. We always distract. Now, there is a craving. We love distraction. We actually love distraction. Think about this. When you open your WhatsApp and there's no new message, ouch. Right? You know the feeling. Oh, what's going on? My phone working? What's going on? No message? Right? Why? Because we always love that new message, something new coming up. And that's part of the problem. It's very, very addictive. It's very, very addictive. So what I recommend is have what are called disconnect times. So say, for example, from the moment I wake up until by 8, 9 o'clock, I will not check my phone. You have a disconnect time. And then when I come back from work, I have disconnect time till the evening, for example. I have some times, I'm doing, doing like i'tikaf from my phone, not just check my phone, we're doing this 2 times. And what I also suggest is avoid having those annoying red badges? You have 53 unread messages. Those are, why are they red? It's not blue or pink or purple or green. Why is it red? Because you catch your attention. You go I have to check it. There's must be something really important. It's red. So go to your settings tonight and just remove these red badges and remove notifications. Be the master of your phone, not the slave of your phone. Imagine that you're working, okay? And somebody goes, Hassan. You're like, okay, I'm working. 2 minutes later, Hassan. You're like, dude, leave me alone, I'm working. Third time, Hassan. You punch a guy in the face, right? We do the same on the phone. Tidong, tiding, tidong. We allow our phones to constantly distract us. And we become almost slaves to our phones. So again, remove notifications so you don't see those red badges and those messages that saying you have how many notifications. And then you choose when to check your phone. So I recommend, like I said, disconnect time. Have some stretches of time, 2-3 hours in the morning and in the evening where you just say, this is my disconnect time. I'm not going to check my phone. And people say, well, no, but my friends find out and I have to respond quickly and I'm organizing an event. If you train the people around you, they will respect that. I know a CEO. CEOs are busy people who will not check his phone after 5 o'clock. You want him? You have to either call his home or go knock on his door in his house. He will not check his phone. So sometimes you have to build this, perhaps I'm going to build these routines for the sake of what? For the sake that I become present and not be distracted. For the sake of my salah. For the sake of my reading the Quran. I'm reading the Quran, tiring. I'm trying to pray, messages beeping. It's distracting, it's destroying our focus. We live in a world today that there are those who can focus and they get things done, and those who cannot focus. They become almost like mice, looking for the next distraction. No, what's the next? Oh, nice new cookie, let me go there. Oh, new message, oh, let me go there. You're always at the mercy of your phone. Instead of those who are in control themselves, control their brains, control their minds, and they focus and they achieve things done. You think that people, scholars like Imam al-Haddad or scholars of our time who achieve great things, do you think they achieved this by being distracted? They had stretches of time where they were focused. They could write and they could think how many of us sit for like hours just to think and write and plan? That won't come by being distracted in 5 minutes. That comes from you really thinking carefully about that. Sorry to take long with this question, but it's something that I take very passionate about, inshallah. Bismillah.
I saw a hand that was put up earlier here. Is there one of the brothers that had a question? Yes?
Salam.
You have goals and desires. Hello. You have goals and desires everyday life. So, how, in your point of view, that we're supposed to seek what we want and like make sure with ourselves and everything, with our daily lives and everything, chasing it. But chasing it to an extent where you should stop and put a limit to yourself that take a step back and rethink.
Got it. Need to slide. So let me rephrase that, see if I understood.
In terms of going seeking that financial freedom and those goals and dreams.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question, see if I understood your question correctly. So you're saying that throughout life you have goals and desires you want to achieve, successes you want to achieve. You're saying how much of that, when should we keep going, pursuing our goals? When should we just take a step back and rethink? Is that the question? Okay, you sure? All right, okay. So first of all, as Muslims, we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us our purpose in our life is very simple. The verse we all know, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created mankind and jinn except to worship me. The question for us though is, how do we translate this verse, this ultimate purpose of worshiping Allah, how do we translate that to our life goals, to our 6 months goal, 3 months goal, 1 month goal, 1 year goal, 5 year goal, 10 year goal? That's the challenge we have. We all know intellectually, okay, we're here to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what does that mean to me and to you? What does that mean to our family? What does that mean as a person? How do I live my life fulfilling that verse? And that comes from you. We have a program in Product Muslim talks about developing your life goals. We say this 5-step process. First, understanding your purpose, knowing that you're here to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the first step, and inshallah ta'ala that's to be ingrained. The second step is saying to yourself, okay, if my purpose is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then what experiences do I want to get out of life that will help me fulfill that purpose? And how do I want to grow as a human being to fulfill my purpose? And how do I want to contribute back to my community and to the planet and to humanity and to my nation to fulfill that purpose? So it's asking what experience I want to get out of life, how I want to grow, and how I want to contribute back. These 3 questions will help you understand that. For example, you say, what experiences I want to go out of life? You said financial freedom, for example. That's an experience where you want to get financial freedom. But what's the purpose behind that? Is it just to say, I want to have a lot of money so I don't have to worry about money anymore? But how to translate financial freedom, say maybe that financial freedom will enable me to perhaps spend more time studying Islam. That financial freedom will enable me perhaps to build orphanages that I will do more good towards the community. It's linked to your purpose. It's not just experience for the sake of the experience, saying this experience will help me achieve X, Y, and Z that's linked to my purpose of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once you know your purpose and you know those 3 questions, then you try to understand, okay, what are the roles I have, what are the responsibilities in my life? For example, you might be a father or a mother or a son or a husband. You have many roles. And these roles put some constraints upon you. Well, how is my living my purpose and getting experiences and all that fit in with my roles? And that's the back example. People sometimes who are involved in so much, let's say, da'wah activities, they forget their family because they haven't factored in their roles of family member. Or they haven't factored in the role as son to their parents. So that the fact that you include, how do I manage my different roles? Once you understand your purpose and what you want to get out of life in terms of your vision for your life, and you understand your constraints of your roles, then you set goals for yourself. 6 months goals, 1 year goal, 5 year goal, 10 year goal, 20 year goal. You set goals, and every day you work towards your goals. And normally what we recommend is every 3 months, review your goals, and ideally once a year, review your long-term goals. That's why i'tikaf is a beautiful time. When you do i'tikaf in Ramadan, as you're worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you should be spending time alone, away from your phones, away from distractions. You're thinking, where am I heading in my life? Am I going in the right direction? And that's the rethinking time sort of kicks in, inshallah. Does that answer your question? Exactly.
Okay, we've got a few questions lined up here. The first one is a short one. What time is Duha prayer? Can we pray a few minutes before Duha prayer? Or is it early in the morning? Thank you.
Duha prayer.
Duha.
Got it. So the Duha prayer is between after sunrise, so at least 15-20 minutes after sunrise, and before the sun hits the zenith. So again, another 15 minutes before the sun hits the zenith point. So you have, it's a long stretch of time. So literally, I don't know, sunrise in Kuala Lumpur, for example, is around 7 o'clock. So by 7:30, you can start praying Duha prayer, for example, and all the way till, at least, let's say it was half an hour, 1 hour before Dhuhr prayer, to be in that safe zone, and you can pray Duha prayer around that time. So and you can pray as many rak'ahs as once. People say 2, 4, 6, 8, 12. I've seen many in the riwayah, depending on the madhab you follow. But inshallah ta'ala, that window of time is open, and that's great. So you can do it before you go to work, you can do it at work, you can do it in the mid-morning break. So it's a great time to, inshallah ta'ala, to pray, inshallah.
The next question is, can you give us some insight into the area of teenagers and sleep? Anything that you might want to share or teach about helping them add tahajjud and on-time fajr to their routines?
Sure. So for teenagers, the challenge with teenagers, this is why sometimes parents find it frustrating. They think teenagers are lazy. They're not lazy. It's actually teenagers are known to need more sleep than adults because teenagers are going through a lot of hormonal changes and going through puberty and it's kicking in. So they require more sleep time. In fact, right now schools in the US, for example, high schools in the US have delayed start of high school from 7 o'clock to like 9 o'clock to give more sleep in time for the teenagers. So that's the first point, that teenagers do need more sleep. They're not being lazy, they just need more sleep. Now of course, if they're staying up playing video games, it's a different story. But at least in terms of how much sleep they do need more sleep time. Now, in terms of building these habits for them, I will say with teenagers or with young adults, again, this is another issue I have. The word teenager, I don't like to use it because it has a connotation. It's okay, the teenagers, they can make mistakes. And this is a very Western mindset. For a Muslim, you hit puberty, dude, you're on the books. I don't care if you're 13, I don't care if you're 18. You're on the books, you start record started. I was teaching young kids, and I told them, when do you have to start praying? It's like 18 years old. Like what, driving license? It's like, you get 18 years old, you start praying for as soon as you hit puberty. So it's the idea that, this idea of teenagehood in Islam is saying, once you hit puberty, you're mukallaf, you are responsible. And that means as parents, we treat them as responsible adults. We don't tell you have to wake up for tahajjud. You have to wake up for... First, you make sure that the most important thing is the obligatory. The 5 daily prayers. Make sure they get that down. And inshallah, if you train from 7 till 10 years old, inshallah, that becomes easy for them. But then after that, all you can do is encourage them and say, hey, listen, and show that connection. I was doing a focus group with 15 years old in Singapore. And I said, do you see a connection between your spirituality and faith and success and career? They're like, no. And these are madrasa students. So people go to the madrasa program, it's like, I don't see a link between praying and success. They just don't see the link. Because we haven't taught them that way. So pray because you have to. So make sure you treat as young adults and make sure you encourage and say, hey, listen, you have that big exam next week, I would get up and pray tahajjud. And just to give them the habit of routine of saying, to connect them back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Show the value of connecting to the tahajjud prayer and of the vows. And that's how you start build a seed to see, realize that this is an important part of life. And of course, show role models. Role models from the time of Rasulullah, teenagers who supported Rasulullah in his daily life. as well as modern day, inshallah, role models and mentors who can help him. Sometimes having a third party person instead of the parents helps, because teenagers are naturally rebellious. Your parents say something like, whatever, I don't want to do it. But if it's a mentor, someone they respect, comes and says something to them, they might listen. So having a good mentor in their life can also help, inshallah.
Okay, we have a question here. It's quite a bit of a read, so bear with me. Hi, I'm 25 years old. I'm a junior doctor. I didn't go to work for 3 months now. I was diagnosed with having social anxiety, which I flagged from my responsibilities of taking care of sick babies and having to poke them and take blood. I continue to bear the emotions, seeing mothers crying, worrying that their children might have cancer. I'm so lost right now. I don't know the purpose of doing this job anymore. I feel like quitting when I don't go to work. I feel miserable, useless, and failure right now. I don't know how to face this. I live alone, and there is so much in my mind about the future and what I'm going to do if I don't continue this job. I'm on medications, antidepressants right now, and I went to my cognitive behavioral therapy for the past 3 months, but it doesn't seem to work. Can you just give me some words of wisdom and advice on what I should do, inshallah?
Inshallah. First of all, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to relieve you from anxiety and to make things easy for you, inshallah ta'ala, and to take this condition, inshallah ta'ala, from you by his permission, his tawfiq, inshallah ta'ala. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to seek refuge daily, and in some narrations after every salah, from anxiety and sadness. The famous dua, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazani wal-'ajzi wal-kasali wal-jubni wal-bukhli min dala'i diqah rijal. He used to seek refuge in Allah from anxiety and sadness. So the first step, of course, and I'm sure, sister, you're doing this, is to seek refuge in Allah from this illness. Ask Allah for help. Connect to Him again and ask us, only He can remove it, and know that only He can remove it. You can go to the best therapist, you can go and get the best medication, but only He can remove it. That's the first step. Second step, yes, I do recommend you to seek medical help if you need it, and see how best to treat medically, but always know that these are all asbab, these are all reasons, but the musabbib is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself is the one who can cure you. Thirdly, my suggestion based on what I'm reading, what your question is, choose something that is more aligned to natural tendency. For example, I'm scared of heights. Okay, I just don't do heights. If my job was to be a builder, standing on the heights on the 15th floor, that does not lean naturally with my natural tendencies. Now I can go to medication and do vertigo therapy and everything, but I'm still scared of heights. So I will not take a job that does not align to my natural tendency. So if you find yourself natural tendency, for example, you find it hard to remove blood for babies, or you don't find hard, it's a very, for example, I used to work as an interpreter. When I used to live in the UK, I used to work as an interpreter, Arabic English interpreter. And I quit that job because it was emotionally draining. Dealing with cases of hospitals and prisons and immigration, and I used to come home feeling knocked out. I did not have the emotional capacity to deal with that job. I had to quit that job. So sometimes find something that's more naturally aligned to your type, to your character, to what you find it easy. There's a beautiful hadith that says, "I'malu fakullakum yassuru lima khuliqa lahu." Work, all of you will be made easy what you've been created for. If Allah did not make it easy for you to do something, that's a sign. Don't force yourself. See what else can you do within your capacity, within your expertise. You can be a nurse at a school, you can take something else in medicine that perhaps is less emotionally draining. So see how to find something more naturally aligned to yourself, inshallah, and find that easy, and that's how inshallah we'll be able to move from that anxiety within Allah.
The next question is an interesting one. It's actually something that you have a whole series of on your blog, productivemuslim.com. Perhaps you can give us a snippet of an answer that will encourage us to read the full series on your blog and increase your website traffic. How do you train yourself to wake up for daily fajr?
Got it, okay. So there are we call them 3 levels of training yourself to wake up fajr. Now, Fajr is interesting because Fajr keeps moving, right? It's not a set time. It's not 5 o'clock every day for the whole year. And our brains, sometimes when they get used to a certain time, it's hard to switch them off, to switch them to a new time. So the first thing we recommend is, number one, spiritual solutions, meaning that you approach sleep as if it is ibadah. You know that we spend a third of our life sleeping. If you live till 60 years old and you sleep 8 hours a day, you don't sleep for 20 years. A third of your life is spent sleeping. So it's kind of a big important part of your day. So one, approach sleep as an ibadah. Meaning, before sleeping, that's why the follow the sunnah, making wudu. Turning off this dang thing. Turn it off, put it away, throw out notifications. An hour and a half, eat early dinner, turn off the screens. Calm yourself down, ease yourself into sleep. Once you've eased yourself to sleep, make the dua adhkar for sleeping, make the tasbih for sleeping. Do everything you can to follow sunnah. Exactly, again, seeking the barakah of Rasulullah, seeking the barakah of following the sunnah. That's the first step, spiritually. On a physical level, like I said, remove, eating early dinner, not having caffeine, not having screens, because screens do two things. Screens have something called blue light. Blue light tells your brain it's still morning. Don't release the sleep hormone, melatonin. Secondly, again, we check your WhatsApp. Oh my God, this person sent me this message. And it excites you, so you don't sleep easily. So try to avoid screens, because either content or just the blue light can make it harder for you to sleep. So you try to make yourself sleep easily. Thirdly, try to manage your sleep according to what we call sleep cycles. As human beings, every night we go through what we call sleep cycles, meaning that we go through this rhythm, these sleep cycles. Each sleep cycle lasts for 90 minutes. The very basic explanation is like this. If I sleep at 10 o'clock, in 1 hour and a half, I would have gone through one full sleep cycle, which means that I will fall asleep, I'll go to deep sleep, like almost practically unconscious, and then I'll come up again towards near consciousness. And then this is repeated 3, 4, 5 times throughout the whole night. So your job is to find out your sleep cycle and to put your alarm to wake you up at the end of your sleep cycle, towards when you're close to consciousness versus when you're deep in your sleep. And there are many apps in your phones that can help you do this. There's sleep cycle alarm, there's desktop apps. You can look it up tonight, and it's not your sleep cycle. But the idea is, set your alarm towards the end of your sleep cycle, so where you're near consciousness. When you wake up, have changed the tone of your alarm. Our brain is very smart. We hear the same alarm over and over again. What happens? Zoop. We tune it out. You don't even hear it after a few days. Change the tone. You're like, what's that? This is new. Never heard of this before. So you get up. Have multiple alarms. I know your wife will kill you, and your parents will kill you. But if you say, have multiple alarms, one next to you, one across the room, one in the bathroom, one in the kitchen, and everyone will start running at night trying to wake up in the morning. But have multiple alarms. Again, if you treat Fajr prayer like a flight, you don't want to miss that flight. You know when you have a flight, 4 in the morning, how you put 5 alarms and you tell your friends, please wake me up? Treat Fajr that important. That's an appointment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's an important appointment. I don't want to miss it. Put everything you can, alarms, so on and so forth. When you wake up, like I said, make wudu, use siwak, these things sort of get you up, and try not to sleep after Fajr. Again, this is the brief synopsis. Once your brain, this is again, subhanAllah, that's why, mashallah, our respected elders and so on and so forth find it so easy to wake up for Fajr, because they've built that habit of waking up for so many years. It's all about habits. Once you develop that habit, you'll find it so easy to wake up for yourself. So this is some of the snips, but as Brother Hassan mentioned, we have a whole series on our website on how to wake up using both spirituality, physical well-being, as well as social activity, inshallah.
Okay, we're going to take the last 3 questions of the night. I have 2 in front of me, and I'll leave 1 off the floor right now. Going once, going twice. Do we have another one on the floor here? That's it, we have 2. Okay. Bismillah. I am a wife, mother of 2 children, 2 and a 5-year-old, and a full-time student. Sometimes I feel that it's impossible to balance my life. It can get really messy. I am certain it's possible, but requires better and more efficient planning. What's your advice on how to reconcile these and how to be a better planner and executing the plan without risking becoming robotic or not fluid? Thank you very much.
Okay, great question. So what I suggest for you, inshallah ta'ala, is tonight or tomorrow morning, on a piece of paper, write down everything you have to do, all the projects, everything you have to do on a piece of paper. And then you have to make 4 decisions. What will I delete? Say, you know what? I can't do this anymore. Delete it out of your life. Cancel it. What will I delegate? Ask somebody else to get it done. What will I defer? Meaning I'll say, I'll start doing now, I can do it later. And what will I do? Delete, delegate, defer, do. Sometimes, time management is not, you cannot create time. This is the time Allah has given you. And we overwhelm ourselves with so much stuff. It's not going to be, it's almost like you look at it, I won't say it's impossible, but it's almost nearly impossible except by the miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to achieve what you want to achieve. So sometimes part of being productive is knowing when to say no. Part of being productive is saying, you know what? This is not for me now. This is later. It's part of saying, you know what? I could do this, but let me ask somebody else to do it. That's part of being productive. So you have to make some hard decisions for yourself. If you feel overwhelmed, feel stressed, that means you are overwhelming yourself with so many roles. And say, what can I delete? What can I defer? What can I delegate? What can I do? And inshallah, that will be a first step towards having that more blissful, more fluid life. But if you try to do too many things, that'll be hard for you. Sometimes, if it's just a phase in your life, for example, you said you're a student. So you're a student for maybe a year degree or 2-year degree. Maybe it's just a phase. And maybe for that one phase, you might need extra help to support you with children, for example. So maybe get some help for that. So if it's just a phase, not something permanent, think about how can you rebuild your life. Take into consideration this is just a phase in your life, and after 2 years you'll be done with your studies and you feel more relaxed, for example. But the idea is be more proactive when it comes to deciding what you'll delete, defer, delegate, and do, inshallah ta'ala. In terms of planning, what I recommend is every morning, the day before, plan your tomorrow list, what you'll do tomorrow. In the morning, review that plan and start your day. If everything happens according to your plan, alhamdulillah. If things don't happen according to your plan, alhamdulillah, you're not stressed. You're saying, I start my day, this is my plan, this is what Allah this is the best use of my time, plan. But subhanAllah, something happened, kid got sick, someone calls you, you go with the flow with it. But start it with some kind of a plan. Start with some kind of structure so that you at least have something to follow on. But if something doesn't go, don't worry. Don't be stressed about it, inshallah ta'ala.
Okay, and the last question for tonight. I believe healthy eating habit correlated with productivity. With reference to your sayings about early dinner after Maghrib, just got me thinking about the Western mindset about eating breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper in order to lead a healthy life. Is that compatible with the Sunnah, and what's your thoughts on this?
Sure. So one of the unique things about the Sunnah of Rasulullah is that you would notice that he didn't actually eat much. We live in a world that's kind of, I don't know how we've been tricked. You have to have breakfast, you have to have lunch, you have to have dinner. If you miss one of those meals, you're gonna die. It's like, it's almost become this obsession. You wake up in the morning, what's for breakfast? You have breakfast, what's for lunch? You have lunch, what's for tea? You have tea, what's for dinner? We always think about the next meal, the next meal, the next meal. If you look at the life of Rasulullah, food was a means, not an end itself. If there's food, he'll eat. If there's no food, he won't eat. He'll say, I'm fasting, or he'll just move on. It was not an obsession with what's the next meal, the next meal. SubhanAllah, alhamdulillah, one of Allah's blessings is that we live in an age of abundance. There's so much food, there's so much, alhamdulillah, this is Allah's blessing. But one of the ways to thank Allah for that blessing is knowing when to say no. And knowing what to eat, what not to eat. I was this morning doing a workshop for a company. We mentioned that we always think about eating healthy for our weight loss, right? For looking good, for fitting in our new dress or new fur shirt. But actually eating healthy is linked to your performance and your brain performance. Okay. Eating performance and your brain performance. So for example, if you eat fried food, if you eat sugary food, if you eat refined carbohydrates, I've probably described 80% of Malay food right now. That actually reduces your performance because why? That causes a spike in your blood sugar level and then you crash. That's why you feel so tired after heavy breakfast. You eat a big nasi lemak in the morning and Allahu Akbar, by 10 o'clock they go, oh, I'm so tired. Right? As opposed to eating fruits and vegetables, as opposed to eating wholesome lean proteins, as opposed to eating something called low GI food, low glycemic index food, meaning food that takes time to burn, those food last longer and you feel healthy, you feel like you last longer with that energy level. So yes, there's a link between nutrition and productivity and performance. So the 2 points here is number one, from the prophetic perspective, food is a means, not an end itself. It's a means to gaining some energy so that you can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better, so you can do what you need to get done better. And number two, being very conscious of the food we eat because that has an impact on our performance and productivity, inshallah ta'ala.